The outsider on the warship. The alien warship floated in silence above a dying world. Its black metal surface reflected no light. Inside, cold air moved through narrow halls, and the smell of oil and heat filled the lungs. The crew was made of warriors, strong, proud, and ruthless. They had fought in 100 battles across 1,000 stars, but there was one among them who didn't belong. His name was Eli. He was human. He wore the same armor as the others, but his shoulders were smaller, his arms thinner, his eyes softer, while others trained with heavy blades or fired plasma rifles. Eli cleaned tools, sorted supplies, and helped in the medbay. They called him names behind his back. The soft one, the helper, the quiet ghost. And Eli never answered them. He just smiled sometimes or gave a polite nod and kept working. "Why is he even here?" one warrior asked, his voice full of disgust. "This is not a place for farmers or nurses." "They say he's here on a peace exchange," another replied. "Some diplomat's idea, but he's useless." In the shadows of the hangar, Eli listened. He didn't react. He just tied his boots tighter and stood up. Tonight they were preparing for a mission, a deadly one. Something had gone wrong on planet Varric 9. Signals had stopped. Scouts never returned. The command ordered a small unit to go and check. It was meant to be a simple task. But everyone knew it wouldn't be. Commander Drax, tall alien with sharp tusks and silver armor, stood at the center of the crew. "Listen up," he roared. "We go down, we check the station, we come back, fast and clean." He looked at Eli standing near the back. "You stay here, human. No need for soft skin down there." Eli stepped forward slowly. "I want to help." The crew laughed. "Help? With what?" one asked. "Sing the beast to sleep?" But Drax frowned. He stared into Eli's eyes, searching. Eli's face didn't change. He looked calm. Not angry. Not afraid. Just calm. "Fine," Drax said. "Stay close. Don't slow us down." The shuttle dropped them into the night sky. Below was a ruined research base. Metal walls were torn apart. Black marks covered the ground. Something had burned through everything. The place was too quiet. "Move in pairs," Drax ordered. "Watch the shadows." Eli walked at the back of the group. His eyes scanned everything. Not in fear, but in focus. He saw things the others missed. Claw marks on the wall. Small footprints near a broken door, a light blinking softly under rubble. The others kept walking. Then a sound, a whisper, like breath on cold glass. Something was there. The group stopped, weapons raised. From the dark hallway ahead, a shape moved, tall, fast, too fast. "Contact," someone shouted. Screams followed. 2 warriors were gone in seconds, blood on the floor. Sparks from damaged armor. The crew fired wildly, but the thing in the dark didn't stop. Eli dropped behind cover. His heart was steady, not calm, but steady. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small round device. He clicked it once. It glowed green. He threw it into the dark, a soft pulse, a wave of light. For a moment the hallway lit up, and the creature was revealed, tall, thin, eyes like burning suns, and watching them, waiting. The light vanished. The crew froze. "What was that?" one whispered. Eli spoke for the first time since landing. "It doesn't want to kill us, not yet. It's testing us." "And you know this how?" Drax asked, his weapon shaking. "Because it could have taken us all already," Eli replied. "But it didn't. It wants something." "Then what do you suggest, human?" the commander mocked. Eli stood up. "Let me go ahead." "No, I'm not asking." Silence. Then, without waiting, Eli walked forward. No weapon, no armor on his head, just his soft human hands and steady breath. The crew watched in stunned silence. He disappeared into the shadows. 10 minutes passed. Then, a sound. Footsteps. Eli returned. He carried something in his arms. a small alien child, wrapped in cloth, crying, softly. It wasn't trying to kill us, Eli said. It was protecting this. The crew stared, speechless, and for the first time since Eli joined them, no one laughed. The beast in the dark, the wind on Varric 9 screamed through the broken colony, sharp and cold. The walls were cracked, and old warning lights blinked like tired eyes. Far above, the warship faded behind thick clouds, leaving the small team alone with silence. But the silence was not empty. The crew huddled inside what was left of the command center. They had set up lights and scanners, but none of it made them feel safe. The air felt heavy, like something ancient was watching them. Commander Drax stood with arms crossed, staring at Eli, the human. He was still calm, still quiet. The alien, child Eli had rescued, now slept in his arms, curled up against his chest. She looked like she hadn't known peace in days. "You walked into the dark alone," Drax said finally, "and came back untouched." "How?" Eli looked at him. "I listened. That's something your kind doesn't do." "We're warriors," Drax replied. "We don't ask the dark to be kind. We cut through it." Eli placed the child in a warm blanket. "Then maybe that's why the dark keeps coming back." The words felt like a challenge, but there was no anger in them. Only truth. A soft alarm beeped on the wall. Motion detected. Someone, or something, was nearby. "It's watching us," one of the younger soldiers said. "It's waiting." "For what?" another asked. Eli stood slowly. "For us to break." Outside, the shadows moved. Figures darted between broken buildings. Sometimes too fast to see, sometimes too quiet to hear. The scanners picked them up, but only for seconds. "They're not beasts," Eli said. "They're memories. Leftovers from an ancient war." "What are you talking about?" Drax demanded. Eli didn't answer. He walked over to a cracked window and looked out into the mist. Then he whispered, "You brought us here to investigate, but you don't even know what you woke up." Suddenly, a loud crash shook the building. Metal tore like paper. Lights flickered. The team raised their weapons. "Stay sharp," Drax shouted. A scream echoed down the hallway. They ran toward it, but found only blood. And one word scratched into the wall in an old alien language. "Leave." A warrior dropped his gun. "We shouldn't be here. This place, it remembers pain." Eli knelt near the word. He touched it softly. "This colony wasn't just a research site," he said. "It was a prison." "For what?" Drax asked. "Not what," Eli said. "Who?" Hours passed. The team split up to search the remaining tunnels. Eli went with 2 soldiers who still didn't trust him. They walked through the lower levels, where the air was colder and the darkness thicker. "You act like you know everything," one soldier growled. "But you're just a soft human. Don't think the shadows won't eat you too." Eli looked at him. "I don't fear the shadows. I've lived in them." "What does that even mean?" Eli didn't explain. He stopped walking. Ahead of them was a broken door, sealed with strange symbols. They glowed faintly when Eli stepped. "Closer. Don't touch that," the soldier yelled. But the symbols responded to Eli. The door opened by itself. Inside was a round room, glowing with soft blue light. In the center was a tall figure, frozen in a crystal shell. Not quite alive, not quite dead. "What is that?" the second soldier whispered. Eli's voice lowered. "A guardian. This world's last defense. They locked it away because they were afraid of it." "Why?" "Because it couldn't be controlled." The crystal began to crack. Eli stepped back. "Run," he said. Above ground, the team heard the explosion. Dust rose, energy pulsed, and from the heart of the colony, something walked out. It was tall, armored. Its body moved like smoke and light. Eyes like white fire looked down at the crew. Weapons rose. "Don't shoot," Eli shouted as he ran into the clearing. "It's not here to kill you." The creature paused. Then, it spoke. Not in words, but in sound and memory. Every mind in the area felt it. Images flashed. Wars, betrayals, prisoners crying in the dark. A little girl hidden under floorboards. The same girl now sleeping in the base. It protected her, Eli said. It never meant to harm us until we heard it first. But the team was scared. One soldier fired. The beam hit the creature's chest. No effect. With a roar, it raised its hand, and the soldier flew back like a rag doll. "No!" Eli shouted, ran forward and stood between the crew and the Guardian. The Guardian stopped. "We can't fight this," Eli said softly, turning to Drax. "But I can speak to it. I can reach it." "Why you?" Drax asked. "What are you?" Eli closed his eyes. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Because my ancestors were its jailers." Whispers of a forgotten power. The wind outside the shattered colony howled like a warning. But inside the ruined walls, time stood still. The Guardian, tall, glowing, and ancient, did not move. Its hand was still raised from the moment it threw back the soldier who fired at it. And now the creature stood face to face with the one person who hadn't flinched. Eli. The crew watched from behind cover, weapons lowered, breaths held. Commander Drax's hand trembled slightly, not from fear, but confusion. "You said your ancestors were its jailers," Drax said, his voice low. "What does that mean, human?" Eli didn't turn around. His eyes stayed on the Guardian. "Long ago," Eli began softly, "before your kind even learned to build ships, there were humans who knew how to speak to machines, not control them, understand them." The wind grew quieter as if listening. "We were called keepers," Eli said. "We didn't rule. We remembered. We were the ones who carried memories through the stars. Memories of wars, of mistakes, of creatures like this one." He slowly reached into his pouch and pulled out a small disc. Simple, old, covered in dust. The Guardian's eyes flashed. It recognized it. "My grandfather gave me this before he died," Eli said. "He told me to never use it, unless the stars screamed again. And tonight, they had." Commander Drax stepped forward. "So you're not just a helper. You were sent here for a reason." Eli nodded. "The Council didn't send me to clean tools. They sent me to listen, to feel if something ancient had awakened. Why didn't you tell us? Because if I told you, you wouldn't have believed me. Warriors don't listen until the sky is on fire." The crew looked at each other. Many felt shame in their silence. Some still didn't trust him, but now they feared him too. The Guardian lowered its arm. Then it turned and began to walk toward the far mountains. "It's going somewhere," a soldier whispered. "No," Eli replied. "It's going home." They followed it, through ash fields and deep tunnels. The crew marched behind the human they once mocked. Now they walked carefully, speaking only when needed. Eli moved like he had been here before. Every turn, every mark on the wall, every shift in the wind, he understood it. They reached a cliff, and below it stretched an underground city, lost in time. Lights still pulsed weakly. Giant statues stood broken, half-buried. 1,000 years ago this place had been full of life. Now it was only echoes. This place, Eli said, was a sanctuary for weapon spirits. Creatures made to fight, but born with hearts. They protected galaxies. But someone betrayed them. The Guardian stopped before a large gate covered in roots and dust. It raised one hand and the gate opened. Inside was a chamber full of memory. Walls showed ancient carvings, humans standing beside glowing beings, fighting dark shadows with no faces, planets burning, stars falling, and always at the center, the same figure with soft eyes, Eli. But not this Eli, someone from long ago, someone with the same face. "What is this?" Drax whispered. "This is why my kind went into hiding," Eli said. "We helped create these Guardians, then helped bury them when the galaxy turned on them." He touched one of the carvings. It pulsed under his hand. The universe feared what they couldn't control, so they locked the guardians away and made sure no one remembered. But you remembered. We always remember, Eli said. We are the last of the keepers. The guardian turned to them once more. Then its voice entered their minds, not with words, but feelings. Betrayal. Pain. Hope. The crew felt it all. It wasn't a monster. It was a soldier left behind. A low rumble shook the cave. Then another. Something's coming, said the youngest soldier. Eli closed his eyes. Not something, he said. Someone. Outside the chamber, dark shapes began to crawl from the earth. Metal-covered beasts. Dead machines reawakened. And at the center of it all, another guardian. But this one was different. Broken. Twisted. Its light had turned to shadow. That's the one that betrayed them, Eli whispered. Commander Drax raised his weapon. We fight? No, Eli said. You survive. I'll handle this. He stepped forward. The corrupted guardian stepped into the light, towering over them. Its voice was a scream inside their heads, not of pain but of hunger. You left us, you forgot. You are weak. Eli held the disc in his hand. It glowed, and the pure guardian beside him responded. Light met shadow. The two ancient beings faced each other. The crew ran for cover, unable to bear the pressure in the air. But Eli walked calmly between them. He spoke a single word in a language none of them knew, and the world held its breath. The corrupted guardian attacked. A blast of dark energy shot forward. But Eli raised his hand, not to stop it with power, but to offer peace. The blast halted in the air, shattered like glass. The corrupted guardian screamed, but the pure guardian stepped forward. Not with hate, but forgiveness. Its hand touched the broken one's chest. Memory passed between them, a time before rage, a time before betrayal. For a moment, there was silence. And then, the corrupted guardian collapsed. Its body crumbled into ash. Eli fell to his knees. His eyes glowed faintly. The disc in his hand cracked in two, but he smiled. It's over, he whispered. Commander Drax approached. What did you do? I reminded him of who he was. And what did it cost you? Eli looked at the dust where the corrupted guardian had stood. More than you'll ever know. The betrayal within, the air inside the old sanctuary felt strange now. Thicker, heavier, like the dust itself was holding its breath. The corrupted guardian was gone, turned to ash. Only a faint warmth remained where it had fallen. And Eli, the quiet human who once sorted tools in silence, now sat on the floor, his body shaking, his eyes glowing dimly like dying stars. The crew didn't speak at first. Even Commander Drax said nothing. No one knew what to say to the human who had just stopped a war with a single word. How did he do that? One of the soldiers finally whispered. I don't know, another replied. And I don't think we're supposed to. The pure guardian stood silently beside Eli like a statue. But its eyes never left him, as if it was guarding something more important than the city, Eli himself. Drax stepped forward. Can you walk? Eli nodded weakly and stood, though his knees shook. The cracked disc lay in his hand, half glowing, half burned. We need to get back to the ship, Drax said. There might be others out there. There are, Eli said quietly. And they've already seen what we've done. How do you know? Eli turned to face him. Because they're inside the crew. The words dropped like a stone in water. What are you saying? Drax asked slowly. I'm saying someone here isn't here for peace. They were sent to stop me, or at least make sure I never awakened what I just did. A long silence. Then, nervous eyes. No one moved. Prove it? A soldier snapped. Prove one of us is a traitor. Eli pointed to the wall behind them. It was glowing now. Faint symbols appeared, symbols only visible to a keeper's touch. They pulsed with energy. Suddenly, one of the symbols flared red. And then someone ran. A blur of motion. A figure broke away from the group and darted toward a tunnel. "Stop him!" Drax roared, but it was too late. The figure threw a small device. To the ground, light exploded in every direction. Confusion, blindness, chaos. When the flash ended, the traitor was gone. And the Guardian? It was on one knee, wounded. "How did he hurt it?" someone whispered. Eli's face darkened. "Because he carries a mark of the unspoken ones." "Who are they?" Drax asked. Eli looked around the old sanctuary. "They're the ones who ended the war last time, not with peace, but with silence. They wiped out memories, they erased truths, and they want to keep it that way." The crew moved quickly now, heading back to the surface. Every hallway felt colder. Every step echoed louder, and Eli's vision began to shift. He saw things the others didn't. Shadows moving along walls. Whispers coming from cracks in the floor. He felt the memories of the place pressing into his skin. Commander Drax noticed. "You're changing." Eli didn't argue. "The disc bonded with me. It unlocked part of the Keeper's path, and now I remember things I shouldn't." "Is that safe?" No. They reached the surface at nightfall. The sky above Varric 9 was no longer empty. Ships, unmarked, black and silent, hovered high above. They didn't move, didn't broadcast any signal. "Those aren't from our fleet," Drax said. "They're watchers," Eli replied. "They've been waiting." The crew set up a perimeter, weapons ready. But Eli didn't take cover. He sat beside the Guardian again, who remained silent and still like a stone. A young soldier approached him. "What if more traitors are among us?" Eli didn't look up. "There are." "How do you know?" "Because the silence is growing louder." An explosion ripped through one of the outer walls. The traitor had returned, not alone. Dark machines followed him, small, fast, crawling like insects, their eyes glowing red. The crew opened fire. Battle began. But these machines didn't bleed. They didn't scream. They only moved, struck, and adapted. Eli stood, his hands glowing. He ran into the storm, not with a weapon but with a voice. He called out in the Keeper's tongue. And the machines paused just for a second that gave Drax time to take down the traitor. The crew pushed back. Dust filled the air. But Eli didn't stop. He touched one of the broken machines and whispered. It shook, then shut down. "What did you do?" Drax asked after the smoke cleared. "I reminded it of its first command," Eli said. "Protect, not destroy." The traitor lay on the ground, bleeding. He was an alien, but not from any known system. His skin was marked with deep scars, old symbols burned in. Eli knelt beside him. "Why?" he asked softly. "Why betray us?" The traitor smiled weakly. "You opened the gate, human. Now the void will follow. You think you saved something today, but you've only delayed the end." Then he bit down on something hidden in his mouth and went still. Dead. Drax turned to Eli. "What does he mean? What void?" Eli stared into the sky, where the Watcher ships remained. "Something older than the Guardians," he said. "Older than my people. Something that feeds on silence, on forgotten pain." He turned to the crew. "And now that it knows I exist, it will come for me." The awakening, the crew stood in silence as the traitor's body was taken away. Above them, the Black Watcher ships remained still and cold, like eyes that never blinked. They made no sound, but their message was clear. "We see you. We remember you. We are coming." Eli sat on the edge of a broken platform, eyes closed, face pale. The cracked disc in his hand was now almost fully fused into his skin, glowing softly, like a living thing. "He's not sleeping," one soldier whispered. "He's remembering." Commander Drax watched him carefully. The quiet human who once fetched tools now held knowledge older than empires. And every second, that knowledge was changing him. "What are you becoming?" Drax asked. Eli opened his eyes. They were not fully human anymore. The crew set up camp on the surface, hidden under rocks and camouflage fields. No signal was sent to the warship above. Eli had warned them not to. If we call for help, he said, they'll trace the signal and they won't send help, they'll send fire. Drax didn't like it, but deep down, he believed him. In the darkness, Eli began to draw strange lines in the dust with his fingers. They weren't pictures. They were maps. But not maps of stars or planets. They were maps of memories. This world wasn't just a prison, Eli explained. It was a door, and now that door is opening. He pointed to a mark deep underground. There's a chamber beneath us, sealed before the First War even began. The Guardians weren't the final defense. They were just the first warning. The next morning, they went down. The path was dangerous. Twisting stone tunnels, crumbling bridges, and rivers of frozen light. Machines from a forgotten time lined the walls, sleeping. But Eli's presence made them stir. They sensed the keepers. Mark, he said. They remember me. Will they attack? A soldier asked. Eli touched one of them. The machine blinked, then stepped aside. No. They'll open the way. They reached a massive door made of black crystal. It had no lock, no handle, just a single hand-shaped mark in the center. Eli didn't wait. He pressed his palm to it. The ground shook. Light poured from the cracks. And the door opened. Inside was a vault, round, endless, filled with floating shards of memory. Images moved across the air like ghosts. Planets being torn apart. Cities turned to dust. Ancient beings crying out before they vanished. The crew stepped inside, stunned. One shard hovered near Eli. It pulsed. And then, his body stiffened. He saw visions not meant for any living mind. A time when humanity ruled not with weapons but with memory. When keepers walked among the stars and guarded balance. But one of the keepers turned against the others and created something called the hollow flame, a force that consumed memory, light, and hope. It fed on forgetting. And now, it was waking again. Eli fell to his knees. Are you all right? Drax asked, pulling him back. Eli nodded weakly. We were wrong. The traitor wasn't just here to stop me. He was here to delay me, so the hollow flame could grow stronger. What do we do? Eli looked at a glowing path appearing beneath their feet. We go deeper. The crew followed him. Each step they took, they saw more. Visions, echoes, truths no one wanted to remember. Some cried, some screamed. One soldier collapsed, unable to move, but Eli walked calmly, like he'd done this before. They reached the core of the vault. In the center was a machine. Huge, silent, shaped like a tree made of stars. Its branches were wires, and its trunk was made of memory stone. Inside it pulsed a golden heart. What is that? Drax whispered. The seed of remembrance, Eli replied, a weapon built not to destroy but to remember everything. How is that a weapon? Eli stepped closer. Because the hollow flame can only survive if people forget what they've lost, what they've loved, what they feared. This is the only thing that can stop it. He placed his hand on the golden heart, and the machine came alive. A shockwave burst through the cave. Above ground, the watcher ships flinched, lights flickered, and then a beacon. The vault sent out a signal not in radio, not in sound, but in memory. All across the galaxy, sleepers began to wake. Old machines opened their eyes. Keepers, in hiding, stirred in their dreams. Aliens who had never heard the word keeper suddenly remembered ancient songs, and in the darkness of deep space, something screamed, not with a voice, but with pure, burning hate. You've called them, Drax said. You've awakened enemies we don't even understand. No, Eli replied. I didn't call the enemy. I called the ones who can help stop it. But even as he spoke, his hand shook. Veins of gold were now visible in his arm. The keeper's mark was spreading. What's happening to you? Drax asked. The seed Chose me, Eli said. It needs a guide. Someone to carry the light. And if you fail? Eli looked him straight in the eyes. Then everything forgets. Back on the surface, the sky began to change. Not clouds, not storms, something darker. A tear. A line across the stars, like a scar opening. From it came a voice. Not loud, not quiet, just empty. You should have let us sleep. The hollow flame had heard the call, and it was coming. The battle they didn't expect. The sky above Varric 9 was no longer a sky. It was tearing. Lines of black light cracked across the heavens like shattered glass. From the deepest part of space, a hole had opened. And from that hole, the hollow flame was coming through. The crew watched in silence. Ships made of smoke and memory drifted out of the void, shapes that bent light and twisted sound. They didn't fly. They floated like dying thoughts, quiet and slow, until they struck. Then they became fire. One of the watcher ships exploded midair. No sound, just a ripple through the wind. And then, screams from the war camp. Get underground, Drax shouted, pulling his crew toward the tunnels. Protect the vault. But Eli didn't move. He stood alone on the edge of the cliff, looking up at the tear in the sky, eyes glowing gold and white. They're not just coming to destroy, he said. They're coming to erase. Below, the sanctuary walls shook. The ancient machines that had slept for centuries now rose, powered by the seed of remembrance. They moved slowly but surely, forming a defensive ring around the core. Eli reached down and touched the cracked disc fused into his skin. It was fully awakened now. His body felt heavy, too heavy, like it wasn't only his anymore. Memories were moving inside him, not just his memories, everyone's. The dead, the lost, the forgotten. They whispered in his ears, filled his chest, burned through his blood. A soldier ran up to him, shaking. They've breached the outer wall? How many? Too many. Eli turned. Then we stop them here. The hollow flames creatures entered the sanctuary like liquid shadows. They had no shape, no bones. They were pure forgetting. They touched a wall, and writing vanished. They touched a weapon, and it turned to dust. They touched a man, and he screamed as his memories were burned away, one by one, until his body followed. But then, the Guardians arrived, not just the one who had followed Eli. Two more, awakened by the signal, came through the mountain tunnel, their light bright as suns. They charged the flame beasts with no fear. Light clashed with silence. Memory fought forgetting. And Eli ran straight into the storm. He reached the center of the sanctuary where the seed floated, protected by energy and hope. Machines surrounded it. But now, something else had arrived. A figure. Not like the others. Not shadow. Not fire. A man, or something. Wearing a man's face, his armor was made of broken stars. His eyes were empty voids. His voice sounded like pages ripping. You carry what should have died, he told Eli. And you carry what should never have lived. Eli replied. The being stepped forward. You don't understand the gift of forgetting. To forget is to heal. To forget is to erase pain. No, Eli said. To forget is to lose yourself. And then he attacked. The two clashed like thunder inside a dream. The being of the flame struck with silence. Waves of black that pulled at Eli's thoughts. But Eli fought with memories. A mother's smile. A child's laughter. A soldier's final breath. Every memory struck like a sword. Every loss became a shield. The crew watched in awe as the sky above exploded in light and dark. One moment, Eli was human. The next, he looked like something made of gold and memory, floating above the earth, surrounded by glowing lines in the air. The seed had accepted him fully. He's becoming something else, a soldier whispered. He's becoming what the galaxy forgot it needed, Drax said softly. A keeper of all. But the fight wasn't over. The flame creature threw one final blast of forgetting at the seed. Eli turned, too late. The wave hit the seed's outer shield, and the light dimmed. No, Eli screamed, not in pain but in grief. He knew what that meant. The seed was dying. The only thing that could stop the flame was failing. You can't protect them all, the flame whispered. Choose. Eli looked at the crew. At Drax, the warrior who once mocked him. At the guardian, kneeling beside him like a brother. At the child he saved. He whispered to the seed, "Then take me." The seed pulsed once, then wrapped itself around Eli and golden vines of light and vanished. The ground shook. The sky cleared. The flame ship stopped in midair, then burned out one by one, like stars winking out forever. The tear in the sky closed. Silence returned. But this time, not the empty kind. Peace, real peace. The crew looked around. The machines had stopped. The guardians stood silently, their task done. But Eli was gone. Only a mark remained, on the ground where he stood. A circle of gold, still warm. Drax knelt beside it, his voice low. He gave everything to save what we forgot. The legend of the quiet human, the war was over. But the galaxy would never be the same. Varric 9, once a forgotten planet of shadows and ruins, was now silent again. But not with fear. Not with sorrow. With something else. Respect. On the surface, golden light still shimmered across the cracked stones where Eli had stood. No wind touched it. No dust settled on it. The mark remained warm. Living, some said it was a grave. Others believed it was a gate. Commander Drax stood there every day, not because he had orders, not because he needed to, but because he had seen something no warrior in 10,000 cycles had ever seen. A human, once called soft and weak, had stood against a force made of forgetting, and remembered everyone. Word spread fast, across battle fleets, across colonies, through broken transmissions and whispers on trading routes. The story of Eli, the quiet human, who gave everything to save the light, was told again and again. Some added more than truth. They said he had wings of gold, that he didn't speak, only glowed, that he could see every life ever lived when he closed his eyes. But those who were there, they remembered the truth. He was quiet. He was kind. And when the galaxy turned its back on its memories, he walked into the dark, alone, to bring them back. The seed of remembrance, now fused into the planet's core, had changed Varric 9 forever. Plants that hadn't grown in centuries began to bloom. Machines once rusted returned to life, not for war but for rebuilding, and deep underground the Guardians slept again. But this time, not in pain, they waited. For the next call, years passed. Commander Drax returned to the High Council. He stood before the same leaders who once doubted humans, who had sent Eli only as a symbol, a diplomatic joke. They didn't laugh now. "You saw it with your own eyes?" the Chancellor asked. "I did," Drax said. "And this hollow flame, is it truly gone?" Drax didn't answer right away. He reached into his coat and placed something on the table. A smooth, flat stone, half gold, half burned. It pulsed faintly. "As long as we remember," he said, "it cannot return." The Council changed that day. Not through war, not through power, but through memory. They began a new order, the Keeper's Pact, not to rule, not to control, but to remember. And humans, they were no longer called soft. They were called the fire that endures. On distant moons, children heard the story in whispers before bed. Once there was a human who didn't shout, who didn't fight with anger. He listened, and the galaxy listened back. Some of those children grew up to be pilots. Others became scholars. A few became warriors. But all of them, in some quiet corner of their soul, carried a piece of Eli's light. And then, one day, a whisper spread through the deep channels. No, source. No proof, just a voice in a static storm heard across 5 systems. "It's not over. He's not gone, he's just waiting. Commander Drax, old now, stood once again on Varric 9. The golden circle still glowed under his boots. He knelt beside it, placing one hand on the earth, and he spoke. Not loudly, not like a soldier, but like a friend. If you're still out there, we're ready now. We'll remember this time. We won't forget who we were. Behind him, a new crew waited. Humans and aliens, warriors and healers, a mixed team carrying the crest of the Keepers. One of them stepped forward. A young girl with a soft voice and fierce eyes. "Commander, where do we go next?" He looked up at the stars and smiled. "Wherever the memory calls us. Somewhere far away, beyond charts, beyond maps, beyond time." A figure walked through starlight. Not human, not guardian, something between. His eyes glowed faintly gold. His breath moved like wind through ancient trees, and in his hand was a single shard of the seed, alive. They called him Too Soft, but he became the voice that silence could never touch. He became the keeper of all, and in every corner of the galaxy, they remember his name, Eli, the quiet human,